Genesis chapter 9 opens in a world that has just survived total destruction. The floodwaters have receded, the ark has come to rest, and humanity stands at a fragile new beginning. Imagine the silence Noah and his family must have felt as they stepped onto dry ground, and no cities, no crowds, only the echo of judgment and mercy mixed together. This chapter is not just a continuation of the flood story, it is God speaking hope into a traumatized world. Genesis 9 answers a deep human question: after judgment, is there still grace? And the answer, written across the sky in the form of a rainbow, is a resounding yes. God begins by blessing Noah and his sons, echoing the original blessing given to Adam and Eve in Genesis 1. He says, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth." This repetition is powerful because it tells us something important. Despite human failure, God has not abandoned his original plan for humanity. Sin did not cancel God's purpose. Judgment did not erase blessing. Instead, God renews his commitment to humanity. The world may be broken, but it is not rejected. This blessing marks a fresh start, a reminder that God is a God of second chances, even after catastrophic failure. However, this new beginning is different from Eden. God introduces a new reality. Fear and dread of humans will now fall upon the animals. Before the flood, there was harmony. Now, there is distance. Creation itself bears the scars of sin. God allows humans to eat meat, expanding their diet beyond plants. Yet even in this permission, God sets boundaries. Life is sacred, blood represents life, and God commands that it must not be consumed. This teaches an early and critical biblical principle: human survival must never come at the cost of disrespecting life. Freedom without boundaries leads back to chaos, and God is carefully rebuilding order. One of the most serious moments in Genesis chapter 9 is God's declaration about the value of human life. God establishes a foundational moral law: whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed, because humans are made in the image of God. This statement elevates the worth of every human being. Even after the flood, even after widespread corruption, humanity still carries the divine image. This is crucial. God does not say humans used to be made in his image. He says they are. Sin damaged humanity, but it did not erase human dignity. This verse becomes the backbone of biblical justice, teaching that life matters because it reflects God himself. Then comes the heart of the chapter: God's covenant with Noah. This is the first time the word covenant appears so clearly in Scripture. Unlike later covenants that come with conditions, this one is unconditional. God does not say, "If you obey, I won't flood the earth again." He simply promises, "Never again will all life be destroyed by flood waters." This covenant is not just with Noah or his family, it is with every living creature. Humans, animals, birds, and the earth itself are included. God binds himself to creation, revealing his deep care not only for people but for the entire world he made. The sign of this covenant is the rainbow. But notice something profound. God says the rainbow is not just a reminder for humanity, it is a reminder for God himself. When I see the rainbow, God says, "I will remember my covenant." This does not mean God forgets, it means he chooses to tie his promise to a visible sign. The rainbow becomes a symbol of divine restraint. It appears after storms, when clouds still linger but destruction has passed. The message is clear: judgment may come, storms may rage, but mercy always has the final word. The rainbow is especially powerful because it transforms something familiar. Rain, once a tool of destruction, now becomes the backdrop for a promise of peace. God takes what once caused fear and turns it into a symbol of hope. This teaches us a timeless truth: God can redeem even the most traumatic experiences. What once brought pain can later become a reminder of protection. The sky that once poured out judgment now displays mercy in color. But Genesis chapter 9 does not end on a perfect note. It reminds us that even righteous people are still flawed. Noah, described earlier as a righteous man, plants a vineyard, drinks wine, and becomes drunk. He lies uncovered in his tent, vulnerable and exposed. This moment shocks us because Noah is the hero of the flood story. Yet the Bible does not hide the failures of its heroes. This honesty is intentional. Salvation from the flood did not remove human weakness. External rescue does not automatically produce internal transformation. The reactions of Noah's sons reveal two very different hearts. Ham sees his father's nakedness and tells his brothers, possibly with mockery or disrespect. Shem and Japheth, however, respond with honor. They walk backward, covering their father without looking at his shame. This contrast teaches a deep moral lesson. How we handle the weakness of others matters. One son exposes, the others protect. One turns failure into gossip, the others turn it into an act of dignity. When Noah awakens and learns what has happened, he pronounces a curse not on Ham directly, but on Canaan, Ham's son. This passage has often been misunderstood, but its focus is not racial or ethnic, it is moral and spiritual. The curse reflects the consequences of dishonor and broken family values. In contrast, Noah blesses Shem and Japheth. Blessing follows respect, humility, and reverence. Genesis 9 shows us that while God promises stability to the world, individual choices still carry consequences. The chapter ends with a brief summary of Noah's life. He lives 950 years and then dies. This quiet ending is important. Noah, the man who survived the flood, still shares the same destiny as all humans to death. The flood did not make him immortal. The covenant did not remove mortality. Genesis reminds us that the ultimate solution to sin and death is still ahead. Noah's story points forward, creating a longing for a greater rescue, a more complete redemption. Genesis chapter 9 teaches us that God is both just and merciful. He takes sin seriously, but he also takes his creation seriously. He limits violence, affirms human dignity, and binds himself with a promise of preservation. The rainbow stands as a bridge between heaven and earth, judgment and mercy, past destruction and future hope. Every time it appears, it silently declares that the world continues not because humans are good, but because God is faithful. For us today, this chapter carries a personal message. We live in a world still marked by storms and natural disasters, moral confusion, broken families, and personal failures. Like Noah, we may experience moments of victory followed by moments of weakness. Genesis 9 reminds us that God's covenant faithfulness does not depend on our perfection. It depends on his character. Our calling is to honor life, respect dignity, cover one another's weaknesses with grace, and live responsibly under God's mercy. In the end, the rainbow is more than a beautiful phenomenon. It is a sermon in the sky. It tells every generation that God remembers. He remembers mercy over judgment, promise over destruction, and hope over despair. Genesis chapter 9 invites us to live between the storm and the rainbow, aware of human brokenness, yet anchored in divine faithfulness. And as long as the rainbow appears, it whispers the same timeless truth. The God who judged the world is also the God who chose to save it.